Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned at the Skills Development Summit. Please be reminded to send your comments at hashtag Skills Summit 2022. We are now entering the third panel of the day, and we are discussing the impact of technological advancement and innovation on business growth and sustainability in the manufacturing sector. With me, we have Dr. Raymond Patel, who's the CEO of Turupa. We also have Mr. Whisper Masiri, who's a lecturer at the Northwest University. And joining us as well, we have the head of training and development from PEP Clothing, Miss Francette Khan. Welcome to all of you, and thank you very much for joining us. Let me then ask, I don't want to take the thorn amongst roses or rose among thorn, but let me ask you, Francette, please tell us who you are, your organization, and of course, what do you really think about technological advancement in the manufacturing sector?
My name is Francette Khan. I am the head of learning and development at PEP Clothing. PEP Clothing is part of the PEPCO group, and we are the only manufacturing component of the group. So we manufacture predominantly school clothing and a little bit of underwear and sleepwear for predominantly the major retailers within the PEPCO group. We do not manufacture for outside companies at the moment. Yeah, and we are passionate about training and developing our staff and making an impact in the industry and also in the larger community. And we feel very passionate about technological advancement. As a manufacturing company, we have to compete with large companies of the world. And if we do not progress in line with the rest of the world, we will definitely fall behind. And as we fall behind, we will become less of an entity to compete on the global sector, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. That was Francette Khan. Thank you. Mr. Whisper? You've got a very interesting name, Whisper. Don't whisper to us, please.
Actually, I have never whispered whenever I speak.
Thank you. Sure.
Thank you very much for the privilege to be part of this panel discussion. And my name is Whisper, as has been mentioned. I'm from the Northwest University School of Industrial Engineering. I'm lecturing there. And we are very keen to partner with industry so that we can have meaningful research, not just abstract research, but research that will make impact into the economy. Then when it comes to the topic that we're discussing, I think I just want to mention that I think we need to strike a balance. When you talk of sustainability in the manufacturing industry, we strike a balance between economic, environmental, and social sustainability. If we don't strike that balance, I want to believe that one leg will be missing and will not make the impact that technological advancement must make. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're looking forward to engage, particularly on the last point that you mentioned. Over to you, Dr. Patel.
Thank you, Shivang. I listened to your earlier session. I was very highly inspired by the discussions that happened there about vocational education and university education. Now, I say that, and I jokingly say to people when I introduce myself that I'm repented. But I hope you get what I'm trying to say. When people say they repented, it means they're religious. I say I'm a repented academic. I don't play in the academic sphere only, but I look very much at the occupational and artisanal development of our country to drive what I simply call an economy. Without that, we cannot drive an economy. So why technology? Why innovation? And I want to link this to our TVET sector in particular. There's currently a whole discussion about innovation in TVET sector. Whisper, we normally look at innovation at a university sector only. For us, in a society that we come from, innovation belongs to higher order thinking. But yet, when we look at other emerging economies and other developing economies and leading economies, and I want to take China, for example, there is a lot of innovation at the TVET sector. And that's what we've got to start doing. So technology and innovation for me is a driving force for economic growth of our country, firstly. Secondly, the sustainability, the development thereof highlights the harmonious symbiosis between economic and social development. Social development for me is the upliftment of our community. I listened to what Frazette was saying, you know, manufacturing clothing for schools, manufacturing clothing for our local economy. What do we find out of that? We find innovation, we find technology, we find job creation, we find upliftment. And we've got to find that link all the time. Now, in order for us to achieve that, we need to improve our education and training. With the emphasis on training. So how do we ensure that our strategic development is not only about assembly? I listened to the president this morning on opening up a conference, and he was speaking about us manufacturing vehicles in South Africa. I was the CEO of the manufacturing engineering sector, Seta. We hardly manufacture, we assemble. Assembly does not lead to innovation. Assembly does not lead to a new technology being invented. We do that, and in our country, the support, economic, political support dwindles, that we do not continue with the innovation that emerges. So I started my own business once I left the Seta, and it's called Torapa. Torapa is simply for technology, occupational response and advancement for people who wants to achieve. Thank you.
Absolutely profound there. Thank you so much, Dr. Patel. I look forward to also asking you a couple of questions with regards to that. Maybe we can go back to you, Francette. How is PEP Clothing supporting rural and township economies, or rather the development of rural and township economies using technology?
We are, our footprint is in the Western Cape. We do not have satellite factories. So we make a local impact in the surrounding communities in the Western Cape. And we are very strong on enticing the young people to join our company so that we can train them up. We're sitting with an aging workforce in the clothing industry. And let's just be honest, the manufacturing, clothing manufacturing industry is not the ideal space where youngsters that finish with school see themselves. They want to be in a fast-paced, technological world. So we have to think cleverly about how we can entice them and be tech savvy and get those tech savvy youths into the manufacturing sector so that they can make an impact in technological advancement. We cannot keep on making use of manual labor. We have to do some technological advancements in order to stay competitive in the market. And that's where we are moving towards.
Okay. I think there's also quite a huge opportunity there that your other panelists can advise in enticing young people, particularly in the fashion industry. It's something that is really booming in that regard. Thank you for that. Whisper, you mentioned earlier the importance between, or rather the dialectical relationship between building a healthy economy, the environment, and the social aspect. Maybe can you take us through, what did you mean by that?
Okay, thank you very much. I think, let me just also, before I comment on that, I want to say, Dr. Patel, myself, I'm not a dependent one, but I always have a balanced view, because we should have a balanced view in this whole conversation. If we miss one leg, we'll miss the mark. So it's always good to have a balanced view. maybe let me say, I think we need to refer to the pyramid of the skills that we need. If I can just illustrate by my hand, I think the pyramid is like this. The professionals, the technologists, technicians, and the artisans, not in terms of importance, but in terms of the number of people that we need, the frequency of people that we need in the system. But the conundrum that we're having is that our system is more like an upside, the pyramid has been turned upside down. I want to concur with all other speakers who have echoed their views before that. It's like all our young people, when they finish school, they want all to rush to the university. They feel that there is no importance in the base, but it's not in terms of the qualifications or whatever, but everyone in the system is important. Without artisans, without technologists, without technicians, without professionals, we cannot make it. Everyone is important. Everyone must fit somewhere in the puzzle. Then coming to what you have just asked, how we can strike the balance. I think, in my own view, if you look at main organizations, company, or even the narrative of the advanced technologies that is coming, many people, they think of advanced robotics, they think of just automizing and everything. However, I believe that as much as we have to look at the economic side, where we need to improve the competitiveness, the efficiency, productivity, all that, we also need to look on the aspect of the social. If we can't be social sustainable, then I think we will not make it, because the inequality that we are always talking about, I heard this term being repeated a number of times in the discussions, in the conversations, inequality and inequality. And I always ask myself, when is this going to end? It takes you and me to bring this to an end. And it's when we look at balancing the social, the economic, and the environmental sustainability. So how can we do that? My view is that the narrative of technological advancement must change. Why am I saying this? Technological advancement must come in to augment humans. That's my view. If we can't do that, and we have the narrative of technology coming to take the place of humans, then we'll always have the social imbalance. Now we talk of the artisans. I think most of the discussions was focused on the artisans, the skilled personnel. If we don't have that narrative or that balanced mentality, then lo and behold, soon the technician, the artisans will not have any place, because all their work will be taken by the technology and the advancements that we're facing. So I can say in brief, to achieve that, we need actually, I think with my colleagues, we are in a research group where we talk about technology, innovation in society. We want to drive technological Ubuntu, where we are saying the humans must be augmented with technology. Technology must actually unlock efficiency of a human being. Yeah. If we can't unlock the efficiency of an artisan by improving, by maybe augmenting them to technology, then we have missed the mark. Gone are the days where we need someone who goes maybe up the roof, check the leaks, and try to say this is where the leak is. We need now maybe to use advanced technology. We enhance the artisan so that they can be more effective, they can be more accurate, the tediousness of work can be removed, but still taking the importance of the artisan. So in brief, I think that's what I can say at the moment. I also want to hear other people's views.
Thank you so much, Whisper. That was very packed there. Maybe you can come in there, Dr. Patel. You know, you mentioned a lot of factors just around how we can form a healthy relationship between education and training and some of the challenges that are involved in that regard. How can we engage with policy to ensure progressive manufacturing, particularly in rural and township development?
Thank you, Tabang. I always fight this debate still about our rural nature of our country. Yes, we are. We do have a rural country, or we have the rural side of the country. But if you look at the urban migration that's been happening over the last couple of years, 40 years in particular, we're beginning to move more towards an urban society than the ruralness of a society. And then I want to take the points that Whispers mentioned. The advancement of technology, smart cities beginning to emerge, technologically advanced cities. So we're beginning to move quite differently. And our policy environment should begin to support how do we bring internet, how do we bring smart cities, how do we bring advancement of technology into artisan development. I'm not saying the artisan must be the old artisan who's a blacksmith. That's something of the past. Technology has taught us recently and in the past couple of years, Whisper, that for me to fix a vehicle, I need to do a diagnosis first, which is technological advancement. Right. So it shows that our education policy needs to change. The minister fondly speaks, the Minister of Higher Education and Training, Science and Technology, speaks of the mechanic who still sits with it and trains on a carburetor. Very few cars that we have in our streets today have a carburetor. We are all fuel injectors, we are all electronic cars. So our policy environment around our education, and I'm going to start with that, our curriculum needs to be revised. How do we do that, Ms. Kun? Let me start with you, and I'm going to ask for your assistance. When we look at policy development, it's not only those people who write policy, but it's also people who drive policy, people who come to the colleges, to the schools and say, but what you're teaching is irrelevant. I don't need seamsters anymore the way I used to need them. I need people who can do CNC machines, who can use computer numeric designs and design a dress for me and sew it that way. So we begin to challenge advanced economies, but our curriculum is not there. So our policy framework needs to get business involved. Your key partner for the economic development and the topic that we're talking about, the advancement of manufacturing in this country, economic development and sustainability, is business. Without business, we cannot move the country into a next level. Business has to work with universities, yes, for the innovators, for the guys who begin to design these things. We need to spend more money on research. Our research funding is very low in this country. Our research output in terms of what we put into our schools and what we get out at a university level is incomparable. We need to ensure that we celebrate excellence in this country. And that's through policy environment. I set, and I'm going to share this with you, the work we do, we also do a bit of bursary things. And we got a student who got a 92.7% average admitted to medicine at UCT. Her father happens to be a teacher, missing middle, does not qualify for NSFAS, cannot afford to go and study. Now, that's not celebrating excellence. That's losing excellence.
Yes.
We need to have a policy where we have to say, how do we get excellence and look after excellence from scholastic level, right up to university level, right through tracking them once they start working. We need to have our policies to ensure that it brings in the marginalized and the disadvantaged of the past. So we need a very balanced policy framework. We need you, panelists, people who are participating, to become much more engaged and stop being armchair critiques of the education system. Stop romanticizing the past. Stop sitting and saying, 20 years ago, this did not happen. When I was in school, this wasn't. My matric was better. My matric was surely not better than the current matric, I can tell you that. I've served on Omalusi, I've been part of SEQA, and I can tell you today that we're producing better matric results and better learners, technologically more advanced, but we're depriving them of a future.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Patel. I think you reminded me that the most dangerous thing that we can ever have as a society is ignorance, and be arrogant about our ignorance, and lastly, mediocrity. And you're so right in saying, how do we then preserve excellence, and not just from an academic point of view, achieving 92%, but you've got smart working people, you've got problem solvers in the world, you've got creative thinkers that are not being utilized enough. I'll just go there to you, Ms. Con. There is a question by one of our participants. It's Oliswa, who then says, Ms. Con, how can we involve skilled parolees, females and youth, on PEPCO manufacturing of uniform and underwear?
Look, we are always looking for opportunities to involve all levels of the community, and
Sure.
if we can engage with a place that we can partner and support, and also develop and train, so that those parolees can reintegrate with society, that will be a perfect match, because we are always looking to uplift and partner with other industries. I want to just touch on what Dr. Raymond said about the curriculum going down into the schools, in that we need to start at an earlier stage to entice the scholars to embrace a trade, and start at a young age to build up that trade. Because if they only start with the trade post school, we start at a very late stage to start to develop those skills, and it takes a long time. So if you can have mentors between schools and partner with teachers and business, so that you can integrate the two and take hands, so that by the time the student comes to Whisper in the university, they are already on a much more engaged level, and they are at a space where you can actually build on the foundations that's been set at a school level. So I think it's very important that we start that technological creativity on a younger age, where we not take them away from technological advancement, but take them away from the screens, because the youth that we are working with today, they are in an instant gratification space. They just want to sit in front of a screen, and we need to get them engaged at a younger age, so that we can work with them and take hands. And I also believe that business plays an integral part in the long journey of a youngster, taking them from school into university or a FET college, and then into the workspace. So there should be a long-standing relationship between the two. Business can't come in at the back end and just want to grab the top performer. We need to have a journey with these learners, so that we can uplift an entire generation and not cherry pick from the group and the rest goes missing in between.
Thank you so much, Ms. Con. I'm just here having conflict with my mind and the questions that I really want to ask. And I'm going to come to you, Whisper, just now. I think just on your point, Fran said, there is a huge opportunity that PEPCO can utilize. The people that buy at PEP are the people that know how to sew the products that they buy.
Yes.
So there's a huge opportunity for PEP clothing to not really use, but to involve a lot of community centers, to involve, like Olisa's question is so critical, because the whole aim of rehabilitation, particularly in correctional services, is to upskill. That's a huge priority. So I think there should be quite a lot of engagement regarding, even if you do a cost-benefit analysis in that regard for PEP clothing, I think it would be vastly beneficial, not only in terms of corporate social responsibility, but really expanding the brand on its own. So that was just an aside, and we're gonna wait for more questions. I think you got a lot of passionate people about clothing and fashion and so forth.
Yes.
Whisper, let me come to you there. You mentioned such a critical point about how do we use technology to drive and also to derive human efficiency. So back to that, how do you envisage that relationship using technology to augment human beings and their capabilities, like you mentioned earlier?
Okay, thank you very much. Let me start by mentioning that there's a point that Ms. Conn has just mentioned there. I want to highlight that the society, we have young people who are much glued to the screen, but unfortunately, we become more of a social media society and not an innovative society. So we need to, in fact, educate our young people how to leverage technology for the good of the economy. With a phone in your hand, connected to internet, not just being on the social media, but you can innovate and do things that can contribute meaningfully to the economy. That's my first point there. I think it's very important to even when we take tablets to the schools in the rural areas, it's not for the young people to be on the social media, but it is for them for their mind to be opened and to start thinking at a higher level and start to be innovative, moving from being assemblers and people who can create things. Like Dr. Patel has said, that we are more of an assembling and maintaining what others have created. When are we starting to create our own things? Coming back to the point of augmenting humans with technology, I think my view, the focus should be on equipping the workforce to be more productive. There are things that we are limited to do at some level. And sometimes even also because of a background, educational background, there are things that we are not able to do. But if we leverage technology, then we empower the human to do more things that are more advanced. For example, maybe there might be, we know that we have areas that are very dangerous to work on, that a human, if they go there, they are unsafe. But we can leverage technology. How can they use augmented reality to be in a position to operate a machine that is underground when they are on the surface? They might not need necessarily to go physical into the workplace, but they can operate it in an augmented version. So this is how we can leverage technology. Just to see every technology that we have, how can we bring it in to help us? Someone mentioned, many people mentioned the challenge of unemployment that we have. But if we don't take it into context, we might even accelerate the challenge rather than mitigating the challenge. I always say to my colleagues, when it comes to the issues of technological advance, it's not about the fence of the technology, but how is it solving the current and the local challenges that we are having? We have our challenges are totally different from the challenges that Western countries are facing. Some countries are facing aging population, so they always want to automate to make sure that they've got advanced robotics and all this in place so that they can meet the challenge that they have. Can we also take the same route when we have got a youthful, unemployed population? No. What can we do? They have the technology that they have. Let's try to leverage that so that the technology can solve the problems that we have If it can't solve the South African, the African problem, then why taking it? We cannot just adopt technology for the sake of how fancy, how advanced it is, if it is not solving our problems.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
They just, you've mentioned something very important. This is not an aside, but I guess it'll contribute to the whole impact of technology. So I have just found out through research that psychologists and even in other countries are using artificial intelligence to help people deal with grief. So what they do, they take I don't know if it's insanity or it really helps, but they take artificial intelligence to then clone the person that you've lost through previous messages and voice notes. And basically, they create a being from that. So if you're hiking, if you've lost your husband, you've got your husband's voice saying, "Oh, baby, you're doing so well." So it's very interesting how we're using technology for different things. But I found it quite interesting and incredible how technology really is shape shifting a lot of the dynamics in the industry. Dr. Patel, maybe you can come in there just before we conclude the session and offer our closing remarks. We have got someone who's manufactured or rather created a vehicle, but he was not supported. We've got people who have, created so many innovative products and ideas that could potentially help society, help the communities, but they are not being supported. The problem that I have with some of these institutions and entities is that it's so easy to receive people that are already established, but why are we not willing to establish people who come with these ideas? So in your opinion, Dr. Patel, why are we not getting the support that we need? Why are these people not being supported? It's not because innovation does not exist or it hasn't been properly, applied. I think it's the issue of red tape and this whole so-called accreditation. How do we overcome such challenges?
I'm smiling when you ask that question because as a business person and somebody who has served in this country in the public sector for more than 40 years, by the way. I think that's what I served on, just up to 40 years. When I decided it's time to go and work for myself, I would apply and they would tell, and it's worth innovation and stuff that I did as a CEO. I oversaw the innovation and made sure that this gets implemented. But the very companies would tell me that I have no track record.
Sure.
So I started laughing at it and then saying, what is track record? If you ask me to develop a tracking and tracing system, I've done it so many times. I've made sure I've done the research. Know how to do it. And now you tell me because I'm a new company, I don't have a track record. One of the problems we have in our country, very much so, is that we seem to develop conformist.
Yeah.
We do not develop critical thinkers. I tick the box and that's it. Do I conform? I don't ask questions. I'm going to do it as simplistic as it is, and I did it with a child the other day. I said, read the sentence, and he read, the cat sat on the mat. And I said, brilliant. You're 4 years old and you can read. Brilliant. Right? Memory comes in. But then I asked the child, why did the cat sit on the mat? Critical thinking. The cat was tired. The cat was exhausted. Another word, the cat had too much to eat, things like that. But all the child knew was the cat sat on the mat. And we as a society become pretty much thrilled with that. The child can read, but we're not moving a step forward.
Sure.
Now, when I get to innovation, I'm using a simplistic thing. What is a square? It's got 4 sides, yes. Why has it got 4 sides? We don't begin to explore. This tends to go right through our schooling system, our TVET system, our university system. As long as we become repetitive, as long as we give you what you want, that's acceptable. With the result is that when we begin to look at, I begin to innovate and I build my own battery, lithium battery. And I ask the IDC for funding. And the IDC would say to me, is there a takeoff? Yes, there's no takeoff. It's a lithium battery. We import them from China all the time. But when Elon Musk does it, a South African in America and so on, we celebrated. But Elon Musk, if he did it in South Africa, we would not have celebrated it. My point is that we need celebration outside, we need acceptance outside before we can. So we asked the IDC for funding and there's no takeoff. So your ideation is very important in innovation.
Sure.
Then you start to do the R&D. We do not do enough R&D in this country.
That's right.
So if we can start looking at the science and technology, and I'm hoping the department people are still around, begin to start looking at ideation, innovation with the necessary entrepreneurship. Franzette, there is nothing wrong in parolees getting their life back on track. If your company can get into a CSI, call me after this and I'll work with you. Get into a CSI to get those people to start manufacturing. You'll be surprised how innovative people are if you give them the space. We need to do that. We need to create these opportunities. Somebody created an opportunity for me to go to university. Let's do it for the next person. So we need government to change. And I heard Minister Stella Ndabeni saying this yesterday. They're trying to relook at the way Seta operates, this body and that body. We have too many red tape, too much red tape, and too many small organizations trying to do the same thing. Now, Comrade Fileng, and I hope you're listening to me, Dr. Fileng.
She actually said hi.
I still maintain, when I was CEO of the MER Seta, 21 seaters is too much for this country. The country is segmented into 15 economic streams. Start getting your economy back on track.
Sure.
We duplicate too much in the country. There is this company doing that, there's this Seta doing that. We need to look at an innovation development company that looks at manufacturing throughout. Whether you're manufacturing clothing, motor vehicles, you are manufacturing. And we need to drive that with success. We need to celebrate the research that comes out of the country. There is a lot of research. So I'm back with you, Whisper. I'm saying the university has to look at it. The aging population is a misnomer. South Africa, or Africa as a continent, has got the youngest population in the world. We need to drive that and work on that so that we can start contributing to a world economy, not only a South African, a Southern African and an African economy. I say this with all humility. Innovation does not replace people.
Sure.
Whisper, you can take me on that one. When the typewriter was invented, and when I was at school, people used to type profusely, and I would look at them. And then came in the computer. Did we replace the typist? No, the typist got additional skills. She got Excel, Word, presentation skills, which she never had as a typist, or he had as a typist. So innovation brings about new skills. Robots clean houses. It means that we're now manufacturing robots and we're getting people to service the robot and to program the robot. That's the new skills that we're beginning to get. And that's what I'm saying. Let's start looking at how we take on this challenge and work on it. I've been to Switzerland with the Minister of Higher Education and Training many years ago. We walked into a company that had 12-year-olds in
Dr. Patel? I think we lost you there, or we're losing you. Okay, whilst we wait for him to recover, can I just ask you, Francis, just to give us your closing remarks, and then we'll have you whisper whilst we're trying to get Dr. Patel back.
No, thank you. I fully agree with Dr. Patel in that we need to create a platform where innovation can be celebrated. And we need to spread that platform far and wide down into the schools so that we can create that culture of innovation where people can think outside the box, and they can start by doing small projects at school, get extra credit for it, and then build on that so that we have a generation where innovation is part of who we are, part of what we do. We're always critically thinking about everything we do, everything we touch, how we do things continuously. And that should become part of the next generation. For the current generation, it is something that we need to teach them, because we've been all conditioned to walk between the lines, stay in your lane. And we need to actually entice people to step outside the line, ask why is it not working, what can we do, and think in a completely different way, because we can't keep on doing the same thing and expecting different results.
Absolutely, thank you very much. That was Francette Con, the Head of Training and Development from PEP Clothing. Thank you. Whisper?
Yeah, I agree with Franzette and Dr. Patel. Interesting discussion there. My closing remarks, maybe I can just say collaboration, I think, is the key. You know, there's a huge gulf between universities, TVETs, SETAs, and the business, the industry itself. So I think if we all come together and work together, we open doors for one another so that we learn from one another, we maybe collaborate in some of the researches, some of the work together. I think we can go far. I was discussing with my manager one day and saying, we really need to have research that make impact into the society. And I was asking, how best can we do this? And he said, the best way we can do is to do industry-based research.
Yes.
If universities can collaborate with industry, with businesses, so that they do research that will actually drive productivity, drive efficiency in the industry, I'm sure that we can go far. If we keep on working on at an abstract level, we'll continue lagging behind. Even what we are discussing here in this conference, it will only be meaningful if it is put into action.
Yes.
So I'm saying, let's take whatever we are doing, let's put it into action. If I knock at your door, Franzette, and say, I'm from the university, I want to do meaningful research, and please, I want to collaborate with you as the business, as the industry, open doors for me. If the industry come to me and say, oh, Whisper, I want you to try look into this, I have this problem, can you assist me, research on this? I must open doors for me. If a TVET come to me and say, no, how can you collaborate and work on this? If a SETA comes, we need to open doors for one another and put our abstract knowledge into action.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much. I wish we received Dr. Patel's closing remarks as well. However, I think there have been some network issues in that respect. But let me thank you very much on behalf of Cape Media and FP Seta. I think he is back with us. He's not back yet. Oh, he's back. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I got cut. I don't know.
We were about to close without you. What an abomination. Please give us your closing remarks. No problem. Give us your closing remarks.
I do apologize. I don't know. I can't say it's load shedding. We just got cut. I think we do need a tech-savvy young people society.
Yeah.
We need to develop what I simply call T-shaped people. And T-shaped meaning that they are grounded in the pedagogy, in the learning, but also can float across into various fields. Something that Franchette said earlier, where we can ensure that our curriculum is supported, and my words again, supported by business to drive automation, to drive innovation, and to drive the economic development. Whatever we do, if we drive these things, we will change the way our society thinks and the way we live. China did not become a country the way it is by policies alone, but by commitment to transform. So transformation as a huge definition, it means transforming the way we think and the way we operate. Lastly, I want to close by saying, if we continue to teach our learners the way we were taught at school, we are depriving them of a future. Let's transform the way we think. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was Dr. M. Patel, CEO of Tarupa, and we also have lecturer from Northwest University in the Faculty of Engineering, Mr. Whisper Masiri. Thank you very much to all of you for your contributions. And just on what you said, Whisper, that it's very important to then practicalize all the abstracts and everything that we have discussed. Once it is actioned, then we can truly say we are a progressive society, and then we can also say that we are meaningfully contributing to skills development. Thank you all so much for your time and also your dedication to the continuous development of these discussions and engagements, and all of the very best. And see you in the future. Please, when we call again, please do answer. We need you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the panel discussion on the impact of technological advancement and innovation on business growth and manufacturing. As you heard, we truly need to move forward by actioning some of the items that we mentioned, and also the importance of skills. We need to then learn to define the type of skills that the labor market is looking for, and most importantly, use technology to augment human capabilities and human capacity. I thoroughly enjoyed that. We are going to be having our last panel discussion for the day, called Transitioning from Secondary School to Tertiary Education. Please stay tuned. Don't forget to hashtag Skills Summit 2022.